Hi guys, I'm Klauds and I am back with another video. So today I will be talking to you guys about my March 2021 wrap up. She has her shit together this month, y'all. Anyway, so the first book I read in the month of March was Flipped by Wendelin Van Dranen. So if you don't know, Flipped is the story of these two kids in their childhood, Julie Baker and Bryce Losky. So as younger kids, Julie had a crush on Bryce, and then little by little over the years, the tables have kind of flipped and Bryce seems to have a thing for Julie. So it's a book about family, about growing up, and all of the things you could possibly go through while in middle school. Hooray! What a fun time puberty was. The next book I read in the month of March was Women Who Ruled. History's 50 Most Remarkable Women. So this was like a compilation of 50 women stories, one after the other, way back from 1400 BC all the way to present day. Present day. Because one of the last queens mentioned or spoken about was Queen Elizabeth II. I have to admit, I kind of had a hard time going through this book because as interesting as it is to read about women through time, I don't know, maybe it was Claudia Gold's writing. Yeah, there was just something dragging about it. It was very much info dumpy. Like maybe if I had read it a few at a time whilst also reading another book that had a more cohesive storyline, might have made it a bit more bearable for me instead of like just reading all of it in one go. It didn't put me through a reading slump. It made it hard to get through and pick it up. But I managed to do it, and so yeah. One of my favorites to read was about, believe it or not, Elizabeth I and the whole like Elizabeth I, Mary Queen of Scots, like that whole family. They were like the Gossip Girl, Pretty Little Liars 90210 of the 1500s. Was it the 14 to 1500s? Yeah. There was so much tea that went on, especially with like Henry VIII. Sweetie, 6 wives? Everybody knows that we used to be 6 wives, but now we're ex-wives. Also, like that whole era of the Tudors. Oof. There was so much family drama that went on. If I'm not mistaken, it was during their family, like the War of the Rose, that kind of inspired Game of Thrones. I think it was around the era of the Tudors. So yeah, love that. That's how spicy all of the tea was. Like, oh my god. Definitely worth checking out if you guys are into history. I try to be. The next book I read was Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. Persepolis is actually an autobiographical graphic novel. Whew, that was a mouthful. So Marjane Satrapi, she tells her story from her childhood up to her early to mid 20s, but it was mostly around her childhood and teenage years that we really focused on. And we see through her eyes how it was growing up in the war between Persia and Israel, if I'm not mistaken, during the 70s, 80s. I have to be honest, this was all news to me. If I hadn't picked up that Marjane, the character, was Marjane, the author, I wouldn't have realized that it was a true story because I have never heard about this before. Like, I don't think I've heard about it even in media. Definitely not in school. Fault the educational system of this country, not me. Yeah, it was a really big eye-opener. It was like, not to compare, but because it's more known, it was like reading Anne Frank, except instead of just the thoughts of a girl who's trapped in a room because she's in there to keep herself and her family alive. We are watching a war through the eyes of a young girl, young woman, and her struggle through it, what it was like to grow up in that war, what experience she went through, who were the people she lost. And it was, when I realized I was reading a true story, it kind of broke my heart, because how anyone could go through that, I mean, what the fuck? Like, it's different when you know it's a fictional story because you know the people aren't real. But when you know that that person is real, it's just, it hits a lot harder. And now knowing that this whole war went on and I didn't even know about it, why is this not talked about? Like, it should be talked about. This is like a big deal in history. I really don't understand why, like, I don't know about other schools, but we definitely didn't talk about it in mine. I don't think it's even talked about much in media. Schools, come on, do better. Fault the educational system of this country, not me. Why are we being kept in the dark about all this stuff? Come on. Anyway, before I go on a rant, my next book, the next books that I read in the month of March was the Grisha Trilogy. Yeah, I read all 3 books in the trilogy back to back.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I enjoyed parts of it. Yeah, if you want to know more on my thoughts about it, stay tuned for the reading vlogs that I will be posting soon. Because no, I don't want to talk about it again. No, I'm not putting myself through that tonight. Nope. Nope. All I'm gonna say is that I am excited to read Six of Crows. I don't know when. I don't have the copies of it yet. Hopefully in April. Maybe. We'll see when I finally get a physical copy of it, because I feel like I want to annotate in it. I mean, I know I can do that with like a Kindle, but still, let's hope I read it soon, because I am so excited to read Six of Crows and then King of Scars because my baby boy Nikolai. So the next book I read was The Mystery of the Tolling Bell by Caroline Keene, and this is a Nancy Drew novel, you know, like one of the original hardbacks. Let's just say I don't think Nancy Drew books age well, because reading it as a Gen Z in 2021. Yeah, the discussion for a different video. Probably a whole video by itself. Comment down below or like the video if you want to see that. For my next book, we're gonna need a little backstory. So I'm in this Discord with a whole bunch of other Filipino bookish content creators, bookworms. So one of them messaged the Discord server one night and was like, hey, this book is free for 48 hours on NetGalley. Let's download it now and then read it together. Let's have a call and then read with each other. And yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a blast. When I read the premise, I knew it was gonna be a sad story. Was not expecting that. My heart. It's not actually released yet. It comes out November 2 of this year, but because we were able to get free on NetGalley, we got to read it now. And mark your calendars, you guys. Mark your calendars. It was a beautiful book. It was beautiful to read. I was kept on the edge of my seat almost the entire time. I want my own Sam. I enjoyed it despite the tears and the hurt and the pain. You guys should pick it up when it's out. Just please go pick it up. And Dustin Thau, who the fuck hurt you? So last but not least, I read The Color Purple by Alice Walker. So this was actually a reread. I read this a few years ago when I was in college, and I didn't really remember much that I read about, and I don't know, it didn't hit hard. It didn't like hit me when I was reading it the first time. So yeah, I was a lot more focused when I read it this time, and it's such a beautiful story. Beautiful and painful, and just oh my god, like, we know about the racism in America and in other places as well, but reading The Color Purple and from the perspective of a young woman who had her childhood and her innocence taken away from her was just I don't want to use the word refreshing, but it was, for lack of a better word, it was eye-opening. And it should actually be required. I don't know. I feel like people should pick up The Color Purple. If anything else, The Color Purple is something that people should read, because a book like The Color Purple, you kind of check yourself, and you kind of look around and think how different your life could be if you were born in the shoes of Celie, the character in The Color Purple. I have plans to watch the movie sometime this month. I don't know. I haven't really heard much about the movie, but I do know about musical, and I do sing one song from it a lot. And the look is right in the eye, gonna flirt with somebody when they walk by. I'm gonna start sing out. So yeah, it's beautiful. The Color Purple, it takes place in the perspective of Celie, who tells the story through writing letters to God, sort of like a Dear Diary, but instead of diary, she writes Dear God. Dear God. And then later on, we sort of see the perspective of her sister, Nettie, written in a letter style or letter format as well. And it was such an interesting take on telling the story. It was telling how Alice Walker told the story was very much refreshing, and it made the story so much more enjoyable and realistic. Like it really felt like you were just reading somebody's compiled letters. It was so organically written and just beautiful. And maybe if I do decide to read this again in the future, I will definitely annotate, because this time I kind of didn't. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know, maybe I just didn't feel like it. But yeah, the next time I definitely will annotate. Yeah, I probably will reread it again in the future. It was such a beautiful book. Maybe like 3, 4, 5 years from now. We'll see. We never know. Anyway, yeah. So that's my TBR for the month of April.
March wrap up, you dumbass.
I hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!